Okay, sit yourself on to your left and come into cross-leg position. So just have a little wriggle about, just make sure that you feel evenly placed. Bring your hands onto your knees and then lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Spend a few moments listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just holding onto your knees and then using that action of holding your knees to really elevate the spine upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Feel the lungs from the bottom to the top and empty the lungs from the top to the bottom. Keep your eyes still on the floor, just focused on something that doesn't move. And then release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from the armpits into the elbows, elbows into the heels of the hands into the fingertips. And then close your eyes. Just focus on filling the lungs evenly and emptying the lungs evenly. Just maintaining softness in the jaw and in the tongue and in the throat. If you find that your mind is distracted, then really draw your attention into the movement of the breath. Observe the breath. So when your mind is distracted, maybe you notice, well, I didn't notice breathing in, didn't notice breathing out. Try and draw your attention into that function. So watching the breath from the beginning to the end, from the end to the beginning. Very gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. Just hold on to your knees, lift and elevate the front chest, really drawing the shoulders down away from your ears so you lengthen the neck. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing right across from the abdomen, drawing the abdomen across so that your belly button is pointing towards the right knee and beyond. Just filling the lungs fully, allowing the energy of that breath to really bring energy and alertness to the mind. And then come back to the center. Hold on to your knees. Lift and open the chest. Again, really lengthening the shoulders down away from your ears to just give space in your neck. And then turn, keeping your neck still as you rotate to the left side, drawing the abdomen from the right to the left, drawing the ribs across, the shoulders across. Just filling the lungs evenly, turning a little more intensely with each out breath. And then come back to the center. So as we work, just maintain your awareness and consciousness of the sensations of the pose. They will kind of help you to maintain your attention. So sometimes sit back on your heels. Sometimes on a Monday, it can be difficult to draw your kind of attention into the physical pose. So use the sensation in order to activate your mental body. So I differentiate the mental body from the intellectual body, from the energetic body, from the physical body. So press the feet into the floor, lift up into the chest, driving the chest upwards, and then just a little bit at a time come forward into Adho Mukha Virasana, aiming to keep the seat bones down on the heels, pressing the palms into the floor, lifting the chest. Keeping the chest lifted, working with the breath. Just observing the sensations of stretch as you come forward. So the sensations of extension, of presence in the breath. So extend into the hands so that the armpit region lengthens from the top to the bottom, broadening the armpits outwards and inwards. Just listen to the sound of the breath. Just lift your head, keep your right hand where it is, and then slide the left hand underneath the right armpit so that the palm of the hand of the left hand is facing upwards. Bring your left shoulder down to the floor, bring your head down onto the floor. Stretch into both arms like you're still doing Adho Mukha Virasana. Of course, the left arm is facing upwards rather than down, but extend from the
shoulder into the hand, into the wrist, and then rotate the chest down to face the floor a little, so that you really open up in that inner shoulder blade region. So roll the chest to face the floor. Even though you will probably have lost your seat bone connection, keep drawing the seat bone down towards the floor as much as you can. And then release, and then stretch your arms out into Adho Mukha Virasana again, just extending the shoulders. And then keep your left hand where it is. Draw your right arm underneath the left armpit, and then bring the shoulder down, bring your head down if you can, and then lengthen deeply into both arms like you're still doing Adho Mukha Virasana. And then draw the chest down to face the front, so that that inner shoulder blade region really prizes open. Aiming to maintain the connection between the seat bones and the heels, although it's very unlikely, but you can still make the intention to open up that area. And then release, come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. Again, just stretching out the shoulders. Just breathing evenly, deeply listening to the sounds of the breath. And then come up onto all fours. So have your hands as wide apart as your mat, and really spread the fingers, spread the palms of the hands. Make the palms of the hands really connect with the mat. Turn your toes under, and then bend your knees. Let your head hang down, bend your knees, and then elevate the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Try and prise the seat bones up, the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Keeping your arms straight, pressing the palms into the floor, not just the heels of the hands. And then slowly begin to straighten your legs. Drawing the shoulder blade in towards the front chest, but without sinking in the shoulder blade. So keeping the palms firmly pressing into the floor, and then drawing the shoulder blades in, lifting the front chest. Really activating the legs, activating the kneecaps, the thigh muscles lifting upwards and turning, the fronts of the thighs turning inwards, the backs of the thighs turning outwards, and then lift up into the seat bones just a little bit more. And then step your feet forward, just come up into a standing position. So get your blocks for your hands, but we're not going to immediately go into half uttanasana. Just have them there if you need them. Now, this can be quite strong for your back, so just if this feels like it's going to be, I'm going to show you first. If it feels like it's going to be too strong for your back, then you can come forward and bring your hands onto the blocks as we normally do in uttanasana. Otherwise, you're going to stretch your arms behind you. So everyone can do this bit. You can stretch your arms behind you, lift up into the chest, and then interlock the hands behind the back, and then try and straighten your arms. So it's almost like you're trying to draw your palms down to underneath the tailbone so that you can sit on the seat bone. So depending on how your shoulders are feeling today, this might feel a little tight. So for me today, this feels kind of a little bit restrictive. So in that case, you can use a belt And rather than interlocking your fingers, just hold the belt behind you. In fact, let's all just use the belt. It gives us more space and it'll be easier on your back. So this is the first stage where you just have the belt maybe hip width apart, and then really try and turn the crease of the elbows to face the front, and really straighten the arms and lift and open the chest. And then we're going to come forward. So just let me show you. You're going to come forward, hinging at the hips, and then you're going to lengthen your arms down towards the floor. So you might need to prise the hands a little bit wider apart. So make sure you've got room to kind of slide the hands apart if you need to. So starting with the hands hip width apart, and then turn the crease of the elbows to face the front and almost out to the side. Lift and open the chest, lift the sternum bone, lift the chin, and then hinge at the hips. Lifting your arms up towards the ceiling at the same time. You can just feed the hands out a little bit, keep the front chest lifted. Keep lengthening the arms down to the floor. So as you come into your kind of resistance area, then maybe you can slide the hands apart a little, and then you find more space. It really opens up the shoulders. So it's really good for stiff shoulders, just releasing them out, just feeding the belt out a little bit when you hit your resistance so you can go a little bit further. Okay, keep the belt taut as you come up into a standing position, and then just release the belt and then come into Tadasana. There's that feeling, that kind of weird feeling where the arms just want to kind of come out on their own energy. You can just allow that to happen. Lift up into the chest, tightening the kneecaps, lengthening the shoulders down away from your ears, and then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Take a deep inhalation, and then with an exhalation, raise the chin up towards the ceiling. And with the next exhalation, draw the chin down to meet the chest. And then draw the chin up towards the ceiling. And then draw your right ear down to meet the left ear. Sorry, right, that doesn't make any sense at all. Right ear down to meet the right shoulder. Drawing the right ear to the right shoulder, lengthening the left side of the neck. Just nice and gently, just feel the resistance and don't overdo it. Come back to the center, and then left ear to left shoulder. So you should feel the stretch all the way down into the index finger. And then come back to the center, and then just one more time, right ear to right shoulder. Length in the neck on the left side, and then back to the center, left ear to left shoulder, bringing the length down the right side. And then come back to the center, stretch your arms out, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms up and over your head.
Squeezing the outer elbows in and aiming to draw your arms beyond your ears. Lift your toes to activate the legs. And then release your arms. Just be conscious of the interlock of your fingers, and then interlock the fingers the other way round. And then turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms up and over your head. Squeezing the outer elbows in, lengthening the shoulders away from your ears, lifting your toes. Lengthening the trapezius muscle down the back so that you've got space in the neck. You can keep the neck long. And then very gently release. And then come into Tadasana, lifting the chest, stretching the arms from the shoulders into the fingertips. Lengthening the neck up into the head away from the shoulders. Just breathing evenly and deeply listening to the breath. And then just move your blocks if they're still there. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, and then really spread the toes and bring the chest back to face the front. But notice that as you bring the chest to face the front, then maybe the legs turn inwards, and we want the legs to turn outwards. So broaden the inner legs to the outer legs. And then just come down over into trikonasana, just feeling the Monday morning stretch. Just feeling that stretch. Now if your neck is stiff, then rather than looking up, although you can if that feels okay, just look forwards or even look down. Just be where your neck is soft. Lengthen the shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen the ears away from the shoulders. Turning the chest up to face the ceiling. Just looking forwards or down or up. Just feeling the breath of fresh air that extends into the extending muscles. So trikonasana can help adjust stiff and disaligned shoulders. Reach up with the top hand, come back to the center. Just release your arms for a second, and then swap your feet around. Turn your right toes in and your left leg and foot all the way out. Bringing the chest to face front. Lifting up into the chest, and then just keeping the legs really straight, lengthening from the heels into the hips. And again, just finding the shin, lifting the chest, turning the chest up to face the ceiling, looking up, unless that's stiff on your neck. Just look forwards or down otherwise. Feel that the top arm is floating up to the ceiling. Breathing evenly. Just turning the legs inside to the outside. And then reach up, come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together, just coming back into Tadasana. Just lifting up into the chest, just observing the energy that the pose has released. Just listening to the sounds of the breath. Stretch your arms out in front, lengthen into the fingertips. Draw your consciousness into the fingertips. And then turn the palms all the way out. And then reach your arms behind you without bringing them together to start off with. Just have the hands behind you as close together as you can bring them without bending your elbows. And lift the chest upwards. So the more you lift the chest, the more you can lengthen into the arms. And then bring the hands into the back. And then walk the hands up the back, keeping the chest lifted. So just observing the resistance. So my shoulders feel really stiff this morning. So this helps to open them up. So at first it might just be fingertips like this that are together. So that's okay to start off with, but then broaden the elbows towards the back of the room. And then lengthen from the shoulders into the elbows, and from the elbows into the heels of the hands, so that the hands come into a more kind of fastened namaste. Lift up into the chest, driving that sternum bone upwards. And then just drop the chest a little so that you can release your arms. And then come back into Tadasana, lifting up into the chest. Breathing evenly. Just stretch your arms out in front, into just drawing your attention into each individual finger, into each individual toe. Turn the palms all the way out, kind of do a breaststroke until the arms are behind you and as close together as they can go, but without bending the elbows. And then again, just observe how much, when your arms are here, when you're squeezing that imaginary box of air behind you, how much more you can lift the sternum bone upwards. And then bring the hands into the back, fingertips together, just bringing them into namaste, into namaskarasana. So see if you can maybe reach your fingers up a little higher this time. And then again, just wing the elbows back, lengthen the elbows into the heels of the hands. Just breathing evenly. Bring your feet hip width apart. Lift up into the chest. So if this is going to be too strong in your back, you can release your hands. But just come forwards, hinging at the hips. It will keep your back straight. So don't go too far. Don't go further than is immediately comfortable. Try and keep the hands together, keep the chest lifted, and then really working on the hinge of the hips, really activating the legs. And then come back up, and then gently release your arms, and then just observe the warmth in your shoulders. So this is shoulders that go right down into the biceps and into the triceps, isn't it? Just a release that comes into the front of the body.
Stretch your arms out in front, turn the palms, and then again just lift the chest and then bring the hand into Namasti one more time. So we're going to go into prasarita padottanasana 2. So step or jump your feet wide. Now you might not want to stay with your hands behind the back, or you might not even want to start with your hands behind your back, in which case bring your hands into your hips. So you might need blocks for your hands as well. So those are just some of the things that you might need. So if you need to, just release the hands from behind the back. Otherwise, we're going to come all the way down with the hands in Namasti behind the back. So lift up into the chest and then hinge at the hips. When you're halfway, then you can decide, okay, well, now I need blocks under my hands, or I need to release my hands. Otherwise, come forwards, keeping the front chest long, keeping the front chest extending forwards, and then just see, can you bring your head down? So bring your head down without without hitting the legs forwards. So keep trying to keep the hands pressing together. And then you can always release your arms and then reach around your heels, around your ankles. So the arms will feel warm. So don't overdo it, Ian, just nice and gently. It's pretty strong just to stay there. So you can release your arms if you need to, or just stay where you feel comfortable. So you're closer to the floor than you usually are there. So, okay, everyone come to the halfway point. So release your arms and then bring your hands underneath your shoulders, lift up and into the chest. So you're in prasarita padottanasana 1, just the halfway point. Good. And then bring the heels of the hands down, palms of the hands down, and then step or jump your feet back together, and then come up into Tadasana. The inner edge of the feet together, lift. Open the chest. Just breathing evenly and deeply. Okay, and then just come down onto your back into supta baddha konasana. We've done a lot of work in the shoulders. So just allow your supta baddha konasana to give you some release in the shoulders. So let the knees fall apart. Use blocks underneath your thighs if you need some support, but otherwise just using the floor. Listen to the sound of the breath. Releasing the shoulders. Releasing the neck. Just allowing the physical body to gently release into the floor. And then draw your knees together, pull your knees in towards your chest, and then rock yourself up into a seated position. if you've got a bolster, then we're going to use the bolster. So we're going to go back into supta padottanasana with a bolster behind us. So if you haven't got a bolster, then what you can do is just fold up some cushions or some blankets for underneath your back. Have a blanket, a folded blanket at the top for your head, and then you're just going to come down, making sure that the bolster is in a good line along the floor, and then just lengthen yourself along the floor, and then have that lift underneath your back. And now the front chest really opens up. So the shoulders can relax, the neck can relax. Now, if your head feels like it rolls back, then you need more lift underneath your back, underneath your head. So maybe fold your blanket up just extra thick, and then just have the back of the neck supported and the head supported by the blanket. So just allowing the bolster to do the work for us. Just letting the shoulders mold into the shape of the bolster. Breathing evenly and deeply. So we're not going to stay here that long, but we'll just enjoy it while we are here. Just breathing evenly, breathing consciously, keeping your mind engaged in the breath. Okay, and then just push your elbows into the floor, push your hands into the floor, and then just lift yourself up, and then just stretch your legs out. So we're going to come into supta virasana. So the knees are together, the feet are apart. Get your thumbs into the back of your knees, and then just sit back down. So you're not sitting on the bolster, you're sitting in the space between the 2 feet. So if you've got kind of painful knees, then you can always pull a belt into the back of your 2 knees, just to give them some space. Or you can even get a blanket into the back of your knees to give you more space. But otherwise, just come down onto the floor. If supta virasana just isn't for you at all, then you can go back into supta padottanasana. But as you come down, the knees stay together. You lift the chest like we were doing when we had the hands behind the back, and then just guide yourself down onto the floor, and then using the folded blanket underneath the back of the neck, and just resting yourself down. Now at this stage, you don't just rest into the pose without giving it some further attention. So you have to draw the tailbone in, lengthen the buttock flesh down towards the knees, and then consciously soften the abdomen, drawing the abdomen towards the spine just to protect the lumbar. So there's an intense stretch at the fronts of the legs. But you've got to keep the buttock flesh drawing downwards towards the backs of the knees. You've got to keep the abdomen soft, just so that you can just maintain softness in the pose. So supta virasana is quite a challenging pose in lots of ways, but it's really good for just lengthening out the spine. It's a good way of kind of getting rid of backache. But you need the right support underneath you. Some people need more support underneath their back than others. So we're not going to stay very long, but this just stretches out the fronts of the legs. So just observe perhaps that the body has come to life. Your physical body and your mind are in some way connected. Okay, push your elbows into the floor and then lift the chest. Try not to poke your head forwards as you come up. Lift the chest first and then just come up onto your knees. Put your hands underneath your shoulders, step your feet back and just gently do a gentle dog down. Your legs and your feet will be reluctant to straighten, just respect that. And then just come up into just a narrow dog down where you can bring your heels easily down to the floor, just easing out the tensions in the back. Easing out the tensions in the legs. Okay, and then just bring your knees back down onto the floor and just come down, sit in cross legs for a moment. And just lift up into the chest. Just observe the energy that you have released through your practice so far. Just to be conscious of the lightness of the energy. Okay, just move your bolster out of the way. We are going to use that again in a second. Just bring your blanket and just unfold it so that it's this kind of fold. So that it's so you normally fold it once more so that it becomes a cushion. So unfold the cushion just once. I don't know what Jeff is doing. He seems to be exploring over there. So you have to excuse any weird noises he's making. So just have your blanket laid out at the head end of your mat, and then roll it up, roll the end that's closer to you up into a little Swiss roll. So reasonably firm. So this is a restorative pose, but it's really good for stiff necks. Really good for stiff necks. So it's a kind of a setu bandha variation. So you're going to have that, and your neck is going to go here on the roll, and then you have to have your bolster nearby as well. So you can come down onto the floor, and then maybe you have to roll the blanket up a little bit more so that it definitely feels like it's supporting the neck. You don't want it to feel restrictive. You just want it to feel kind of more supportive than usual. Then you lift the seat bones, slide the bolster underneath it's more like the kind of lower lumbar and the tailbone region than where you would normally put the bolster put the block for Setu Bandha, and then just let your arms rest to the sides. Now, if the roll of the blanket feels too big, then you'll know about it soon enough. It will feel uncomfortable. So just slide the blanket away a little, and then keep the roll underneath your neck, and then you'll find that perhaps that is more supportive. So just allow, because this is a restorative pose, it's a restorative bridge pose, which is similar to Setu Bandha, isn't it? Relaxing Setu Bandha. Just let the body release into the floor. Just pressing your neck into the rolled up blanket. And just deep inhalations, deep exhalations. If the roll underneath your neck is too big, then adjust it so that it's not, you don't want it to create any tension in your head. So if the roll underneath your neck is too big, then it can feel uncomfortable. So just adjust it until it feels comfortable. So deep inhalations, deep exhalations. Just letting the neck soften and release. Okay, and then just lift the seat bones, slide the bolster out from underneath. Just keep the head on the blanket with the bolster underneath your knees. Just have the fold underneath your neck still, and then just rest into the floor in shavasana. So allow the body to release into the floor. Okay, and when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And then bring your feet onto the bolster, just rest your feet on the bolster, your knees together for a moment. And then roll over onto your right side to stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in namaste. Just a final spinal lift, lifting up into the chest. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sounds of the breath, just observing the space around the neck and in the shoulders. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Draw your breath into the abdomen. Observe the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions, the forward bends, the twists, the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then radiate that energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've lifted your energy and you've released stiff shoulders and a stiff neck, and you've got lots of good motion and movement to put into the rest of your day. So thank you very much for joining me.